The rodeo sport began as only a hobby for cowboys in Spain and Mexico, but now it has become the biggest and most entertaining sport for cowboys in Brazil, the US, and even Australia. Although bullfighting is the most popular rodeo sport, there are some fascinating other rodeo sports that will definitely tickle your fancy, and you may begin to reconsider your allegiance to only bullfighting. So what are these other rodeo sports, and is bullfighting the best among them? In this video, we'll dive into the captivating world of rodeo sports, exploring each technique, athleticism, and tradition, and what makes bull riding the best among them. If you want high-speed, quick turn, and edge-on-your-seat excitement, then barrel racing is for you. This is a rodeo sport where every second counts because the winner is determined by the fastest rider who can run a cloverleaf pattern around preset barrels. To be exact, 3 barrels are placed in a triangle pattern within a large arena, and a combination of the horse's athletic ability and horsemanship skills of a rider is needed to successfully get the job done. But no matter how talented the horse is and how skilled the rider is, just one minor error can be the deciding factor whether they leave an event with a prize or not. Surprisingly, barrel racing was originally a women's only event, but now both sexes compete at amateur and youth levels. Although barrel racing is a high-intensity, short-duration sport, just like bull riding, it is not as intense. But does the next sport match the intensity of bull riding? With a history reaching back over 400 years, Chilean rodeo was not recognized as a national sport until 1962 by the Chilean Olympic Committee. What sets Chilean rodeo apart from other rodeo sports is that riders must only use Chilean horses and should wear the traditional huaso robe in every competition. To determine the winner in the Chilean rodeo, a team must score more points than the other teams. But how? A team is made up of 2 riders who takes laps around the arena. Their objective is to stop a calf while riding, and a panel of judges assesses the performance of each team to know who did it right. The next rodeo sport is even more unique than every other rodeo sport, including bull riding. Another interesting rodeo sport that doesn't deal with bulls is goat tying. It requires participants to ride a tethered goat, dismount, catch, throw, and tie any 3 of its legs together. Not as fierce as with bulls, but goats can be a handful too. The goat must stay tied for 6 seconds after the contestant has backed away from the animal. If the goat becomes untied before 6 seconds have passed, the rider receives no score. The event is not seen in professional rodeo, but is a common event seen at youth, high school, and intercollegiate rodeo levels. In most cases, it is considered a women's event, making it less intensive than bull riding, which women rarely dare. But what do you think about the next rodeo sport? This is a rodeo event in which a mounted cowboy tackles a full-grown steer. The steer has a head start, which is maintained by a rope around the steer that is tied to a barrier in front of the 2 riders' horses. Although there is a 10-second penalty for a broken barrier. Steer wrestlers are the epitome of strength and athleticism in the rodeo world. These skilled cowboys take on the formidable challenge of subduing a powerful steer. With determination and courage, they become the heroes of the rodeo arena. This still doesn't make it the most dangerous rodeo sport because steers are not as strong-willed and forceful as the beastly bulls. What other rodeo sport can be likened to bull riding? I'll say bronc riding is the only rodeo sport that comes close to bull riding. Bareback riding became a standard event at the majority of sanctioned rodeos in the 1950s. Just like in bull riding, there are certain rules that must not be violated when riding a bucking horse. For example, the rider must spur the animal over the shoulders as it leaves the chute. Also, the rider's free hand must not touch the animal, the rigging, or the rider's own body. Not only that, qualifying rides last 8 seconds and scoring is based on a cumulative total of up to 50 points each for the performance of the bronc and the rider. Competitive scores usually exceed 80 points, just as similar to bull riding competition calculations. But this is not only where both sports share similarities. The 8-second rule of bullfighting also applies to bronc riding, although not as dangerous. But is there a rodeo sport as dangerous as bullfighting? And this is where bareback riding comes into the picture. It is a form of horseback riding without a saddle. It requires skill, balance, and coordination as the rider does not have any equipment to compensate for errors of balance or skill. Seems pretty dangerous. It is also similar to bareback bronc riding in the sport of rodeo. It is one of the most physically demanding events in rodeo, with a high injury rate. Cowboys ride the bucking horse one-handed and cannot touch or hang onto anything with their free hand. They use a leather rigging that includes a handle that resembles that of a suitcase where the rider places their hand. To make the event more difficult for the rider, they are required to lean back and spur in a highly stylized manner that was never historically used in the first place. The cowboy spurs must be above the point of the horse's shoulders at the first jump out of the chute and touch the horse on every jump for the full time required for a qualifying ride. They must stay on the horse and ride with proper technique for 8 seconds for the ride to be judged and scored. Once the ride is complete, the rider may hold on to the rigging with both hands until the pickup riders help them safely get off the still moving horse. But how does it match up with the next sport? Although similar to goat tying is calf roping. Calf roping is also known as tie-down roping. It is one of rodeo's oldest events and features a calf and a rider mounted on a horse. The goal of the timed event is for the rider to catch the calf by throwing a loop of rope from a lariat around its neck, dismount from the horse, run to the calf, and restrain it by tying 3 legs together in as short as time as possible. Calf roping is based on the routine task of capturing calves and adult cattle performed by cowboys as part of their job. The objective of the sport is to throw a rope with a loop around the head, horns, or legs based on the size and age of the animal and prevent it from moving. When compared to a similar rodeo event, which one is better? Breakaway roping is an equal sport developed in the western United States in which a person's horseback ropes a calf around the neck and the roper's rope breaking away from the saddle once the calf is far enough away from the horse. It is similar to calf ropers, but for calf roping, it secures the end of the rope to their saddle while breakaway ropers tie the end of the rope to a thin string that is designed to break away from the saddle for the time to stop. Both calf and breakaway ropes are softer and often more weighted than team ropes. Breakaway roping is primarily a women's event, but it is also a stepping stone event for young boys to help them learn to calf rope in the National Little Britches Rodeo Association and other similar organizations. In the American Quarter Horse Association competition, both men and women can compete in breakaway roping. In the Women's Professional Rodeo Association, the largest sanctioning body of the professional level of sport, only women can compete. With all 9 rodeo sports that have been mentioned, nothing still beats the ever-daring bull riding. Why is it the king of the rodeo? Finally, let's talk about the sport that wears the crown, bull riding. Bull riding is a sport that requires not just basic skills, but even more intense strategy to be a champion. 8 seconds is all it takes to either be a step closer to leaving a mark on history or getting crushed under the weight of a 2,000-pound aggressive bull. The high-end risk and adrenaline-fueled competition is part of what makes it the most captivating sport in rodeo events. Another reason why bull riding attracts a lot of competition both in North and South American contestants is the high price tag for every successful competition. The earnings of bull riders range between the average of $60,000 to $250,000, depending on how many events you win. And as we've seen during the course of history in the sport, some riders have made as much as $1 million from a championship event. Although the reward alone isn't enough to fuel the passion of these riders, it's part of what makes the game exciting. The huge financial gains have made rodeo champions like J.B. Monty, Jose Vitor Leme, Conque Pacheco, and Justin McBride, amongst others, very wealthy. These men haven't only been noted for their high-end successes, but also for their ultimate skill and dominance they display, all in around 8 seconds at a time. In all rodeo sports, bullfighting has the most protective gear. It includes a helmet to withstand the horns of the bulls, and when the bulls stomp and kick, a protective vest, mouth pads, and padded gloves also save lives. Not only that, bull riding is the most structured and organized rodeo sport and is internationally recognized more than any other rodeo sport. If you have any objections, bring in your arguments. Or do you agree with me that bull riding ranks number 1 when it comes to making the mark in rodeo events? Outside of the rodeo universe, people dispute what rodeo is. Professional competitors, for example, consider rodeo to be a sport and refer to themselves as professional athletes, along with using the term cowboy. Fans see rodeo as a spectator sport with animals that include elements of spectacle and drama, unlike other professional sports. Non-Westerners regard rodeo as a strange yet fascinating vestige of the Wild West, but animal rights advocates see it as a brutal Roman circus display. What do you think? What do you make of rodeo sports in general? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to Bull Rider Report for more videos and content about rodeo sports.